What is up, guys? Welcome to the Being Beautifully Honest podcast and channel. Thanks so much for being here, for being subscribed. And if you're not, go ahead and hit that button. And if you're listening on YouTube, hit that like button. It's like walking in the room and hitting that light switch. Let's brighten up the place and get into this conversation. All right, guys. I just want to ask the question, and you can respond respectfully. I'm not accusing anyone of anything, but I just want to ask the question because Keithlee, the food critic on TikTok, he already had over 14 million followers, so, but he went a little bit more viral because you Google his name and all of these news outlets are speaking about him, even CNN. And CNN probably didn't even know who he was, even with the 14 million followers. Let's just be honest. So anyway, you're going to see all these stories about him when it comes to Atlanta and the restaurants down there. And apparently Atlanta is a whole other ball game when it comes to the critiques that a number of them have gotten. And so it's to the point where he said he's postponing his food tours after getting threats against his life from Black restaurant owners in Atlanta. This story comes from Sandra Rose, and it says, Lee angered Black restaurant owners in Atlanta after he gave their eateries poor reviews.
For so many narratives being pushed, and it's insane to me. But let's be honest, what else do you want from me? If I go to a bunch of restaurants and I have a string of good experiences, then I'm being too nice, I'm lying, the narrative is being pushed that my eye roll is fake, and I'm lying just to help people. Then on the same hand, if I go to 2 or 3 restaurants where I don't have the best experience, now I'm tearing down businesses, now I'm being mean, now I need to shut up, now I need to mind my business, I need to sit down. Again, I can't win for losing. I understand everybody gonna have an opinion on the situation. You can disagree with me, you cannot like what I say. Completely understand, I'm okay with that. But when my safety and my family safety start coming into play, that's where I draw the line at. But what can't happen is when my family or the restaurants or anybody's safety start coming into play. It's absolutely overboard. Especially when I was asked to give my opinion. Because you telling me my opinion only matter if it's positive. Because if it's positive, you got my face plastered on the wall and you saying Keithlee been here. But if it's negative, I need to sit down somewhere and you don't know who I am. That's crazy to me. It was so much positive that happened in Atlanta that was shunned by the negative. It was so many restaurants we was blessed enough to help. We went to an array of restaurants like we always do at every city. I'm going to be 100% transparent, 100% candid. Me and my family will postpone touring if other cities going to be like this. Every review not going to be the best. I'm going to be 100% honest. If you want me to come, please understand, I will be honest. I don't mean no harm. I don't have no malicious intent. I mean that, and when I say it, I mean it. People be like, well, you know what you're doing. You know if you give a bad review, people going to come and flood it with hate comments. What else do you want me to do? I'm telling people not to go and leave hate comments. I'm telling people not to leave negative comments. I'm telling people make their own opinions. You want me to lie and say I had a good experience, or you want me to only post the videos when I have a positive experience? That all of the videos I post is only going to be positive experience. Then the narrative is going to be pushed, and I'm only trying to be positive, and we're going to end up in the same situation. And on top of that, I think something is getting lost in translation. When that happens, the restaurants that we are blessed enough to help won't be helped in the same manner because people won't show up in the same way because my reviews would be inauthentic. One of the reasons people show up the way they do is because they know I'm being honest and I'm giving my personal opinion and my personal perspective on the situation. But if I don't do that anymore, it won't be the 3 or 4 hour wait times, and now we won't be able to help business owners and we won't be able to give back to the community. In the grand scheme, that's what this is about. It's about giving back. It's about giving back to the community. It's about stimulating the economy. That's what it's about. All the other stuff, I'm a simple man in real life. As long as me and my family healthy and safe and we can live a comfortable life, I'm straight. Again, it's a double-edged sword. I understand with great power comes great responsibility. God made me for this. I'm built for this. At the end of the day, I just want to eat food, walk in my path. If you want to be on the journey with me, you are more than welcome. If you don't, God bless you. Y'all have an amazing day. Y'all be safe.
Well, I mean, you heard what he had to say. And I'll be honest. This is my personal opinion. I would not say God built him for this. You got this opportunity. You did what you were doing. You gained a lot of followers. And that's cool. And yeah, you definitely may have helped a lot of restaurants. But I wouldn't say God built you for this. This is just something that you just happen to get into doing and it's worked out. But if God built you for this, then why stop? Why put it on pause? You know, I'm just speaking to that. I'm not saying that he deserves to get threats against his life. I'm definitely not saying that. But just be careful when you put God into stuff like that, because I just feel that a lot of people are disingenuous when they do stuff like that. And I'm not saying he's not a Christian or he's not a believer in God or whatever, because he's always talking about God is amazing and whatever. And it's like, well, you know, he's got you covered, he's got your family, then keep pushing forward and do what you're doing. But no, he can't control what people say and do if people flood with negative reviews and negative comments on a place that he did not have a great experience with. It's not fair for the businesses either, because like I said in my previous commentary about this, he's sharing his experience. That doesn't mean that everyone's experience is going to be the same. And him sharing a restaurant's rules and things like that, they may not be for everyone. Now, that restaurant that came out and did a response, their initial response to him, I believe the restaurant's called The Real Milk and Honey, which was extremely arrogant and egotistical. Like, who is Keithlee? You know, it was just unnecessary. And then they had to come out and do another response, pretty much apologizing for that, because they were feeling like, well, we're already popular anyway. We don't need, you know, your reviews, and we don't need you to bring any more press or attention to our restaurant. And apparently they didn't expect the negative responses that they got from, one, their response, and two, from Keithlee's experience. But I'm saying all of these things to say some people are thinking that Kandi, not so much her, but her following, her followers, they call the Kandi Koated Clique. I think that name came from Portia many years ago. But anyway, people are accusing Kandi's clique of going after Keithlee. I'm not saying that they did, and I'm not saying that they didn't do it, or they had nothing to do with it. But some people are accusing her clan of doing that, even though the OLG gang restaurant was not the only one that Keithlee had a less than stellar experience with, because he didn't even eat any food. He was just sharing the experience of not even being able to eat because of him deciding to leave because he didn't like the preferential treatment that he received. So some people feel like, well, Kandi, she came out, she made that statement, and she didn't say anything directly about what he was really addressing because she left that to other people to handle. I really don't know if that's the truth, but what I will say to this situation is this. And I actually already said something about this before a little bit, but even though he chose to leave because he said he doesn't want to get preferential treatment, unfortunately or fortunately, however you want to shake it, whichever side of the coin that you're looking on, whether you look at it as being a glass half empty or glass half full, he is going to get preferential treatment if people recognize who he is, because that is the culture of this country. That's just it. I'm sorry. He could say, look, there are people here before me, or there are people that have longer waits than I do. I'm willing to wait just like they are. He would have to be the one to address that, not just say, oh, well, I'm just going to leave because I don't want to be treated differently. So for him, like I said, he was sharing his experience. There are some people that said that they've gone to the OLG restaurant before. They didn't care for the food. And there are some people who said that they've gone there before and the food was okay. The food was decent. There are some people who are saying they will never go to the OLG restaurant. These are people's choices and decisions based on what they want to do. He could have said, you know what, I will wait and I will get the food, because they do have that rule that they don't do takeout. And the other thing was that I caught that he said he was going to have them order the food and bring it out to the car. If they don't do takeout, then how are they going to do that? Were they going to say, hey, I'm just going to put some food in a napkin or something and take it out to the car so he could try it? I mean, honestly, and I'm not trying to knock the guy. I'm not trying to be one of those people that's saying negative things about him, because there are some people that said some really, really nasty things about him. I'm just basically saying that he has to be real. He has to understand that if people recognize him and he goes to places, they are going to give him preferential treatment because that is the culture and the society that we live in. It is not fair. It is not right, but it is something that happens, period. Because people want the favor of saying, oh, this person who is well known has come to our establishment because it gives them those bragging rights. Because, again, other people see it and they jump on the bandwagon to say, oh, Deion Sanders was at this restaurant. We have to go try it out. Not even considering the fact that Deion Sanders may like that type of food that restaurant serves and you may not like it. You have to make your own decision and you have to choose to try it out for yourself. Now, him giving a restaurant a negative review, I get it. It may cause some people to be turned off to say, well, you know what? If that's the experience that they had, I'm not even going to give them a try. Because unfortunately, that is the way things are set up in this culture and society, period. No matter what side of the aisle you sit on politically, no matter what your ethnicity is, it doesn't matter. That really is just the way it is. The reviews mean a lot. So I feel that if he says God built him for this, then he shouldn't, I'm not saying people should put threats on his life, but he shouldn't allow these threats that I don't even believe are really real, because hell, the freaking DA of Georgia, she's getting threats on her life all the time for prosecuting the ex-president, and she's still doing her job. Now, I know she may have security that this guy doesn't have, but I'm saying a lot of those threats are not real. They're just people trying to intimidate her. So I believe that the threats that he's receiving are people just trying to intimidate him to not give a restaurant a negative or less than stellar review. You know what I mean? So it's intimidation tactics. I don't believe anyone's out here trying to take the man's life or sharing his thoughts and views and opinions on a restaurant that he decided to give a try. And he says that a lot of the places that he goes to, these restaurants have reached out to him to invite him to come. So he already knows what it's going to be. So if he is saying, well, I'm not better than anyone else, which I agree with, because I don't believe anyone's better than anyone. We're all human beings at the end of it all. And so knowing that, he would have to make the choice and decision to wait like everyone else versus being seated before other people that were there before him. He would have to make that choice, because unfortunately, if people recognize him that work in the restaurant and the owner comes out and whatever, no, let's go ahead and get him a table, let's get him a booth or whatever, they're going to do that. That's just the way the game is played in business, especially when it comes to a business where you're serving the public, because you want more people from the public coming to your establishment because it will equate to more money. So is the Kandi Koated Clique coming after him? Or people that are fans of Kandi and her restaurants and people like that coming after him because of what he had to say? I don't know. Some people are thinking that it is, but I also feel that him putting God into this, you have to really be careful when it comes to that, because to say, I'm built for this, well, keep pushing forward and do what you're doing. Because then, you're kind of making it seem like, well, maybe God ain't got you. And I'm not saying you don't use wisdom, but to say that you're built for this and you've got over 14 million followers, probably more at this point in time, you've been posted on all of these different news outlets, including CNN, which is major, okay? And to think that you're going to be able to go to more restaurants in the future and people are not going to recognize you and give you preferential treatment, I think is a foolish way of thinking. He would have to make the decision to decide that, look, I don't want any preferential treatment, so I'm going to wait like everyone else, versus just leaving the restaurant because when you sent your family in without you, they said that wait was going to be hour and a half, but then you show up and come in and the wait is 5 minutes. So to tell people don't leave negative reviews, but you share that information and think that people are not going to look at that in a way as if to see the restaurant as being unfair is just unrealistic. Because my point is, okay, if they told you the wait was going to be an hour and a half, and then you come in there and you were recognized, why did you do that? Were you testing to see if that was what they're going to do? You know, there are secret shoppers, there are secret food critics and things like that that do stuff like that. And honestly, that is par for the course when it comes to you becoming more well-known. But if you're going to be a public critic, even because critic and criticism doesn't always mean negative, it can be positive. But if you're going to be in the public and have this as your career, you have to know that you're going to say things that are going to ruffle people's feathers, and they're not going to agree with you. So if you're going to be worried about the threats, then maybe he needs to do something where he's going to be in the private, because being in the public and doing this stuff, it's only going to increase. That's just the fact of the matter. So I'm just saying, guys, I don't know what he was really expecting. I'm quite sure he didn't expect it to blow up like this because he already had a huge following. But it's not fair for anyone to put threats out on his life. I don't know if Kandi and her clique had anything to do with it or if it was other people, but we already know how some of these fans can be. So I'm just saying, because sometimes you say things about Kandi and just in people's comment section, they're going off and going crazy. So you just have to really think about that and know that it's unfortunate that people would go that far to put these hits out. I wouldn't even say hits, but they would speak these threats against you when you're putting people out there where it's possibly going to affect them negatively, thereby possibly affecting their money. People do go to drastic measures, as well as if these people have large followings themselves, like Kandi. The fans and the followers usually are the ones that would go that route to be threatening and all of those different things like that versus the individual. So that's why the question was asked, is the Kandi Koated clique after Keith? I don't know. I'm not saying that they are, but it definitely indeed could be possible for fans of hers to just really go overboard and say, you know what, enough is enough. I'm coming for Keith. Because I did hear someone read a comment that they left for him, and they were just like, F Keithlee. And yeah, I said it. It's like, wow, what did he do to you? You know what I mean? But yeah, this is the age and time that we're living in, and unfortunately, it's just going to grow. So I don't know if he's going to continue to do what he's doing or get into something different, but if you're going to be a public critic, you have to know that this is par for the course. It absolutely is. So anyway, guys, let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Do you believe that the Kandi Koated clique or the Kandi Koated followers had anything to do with these alleged threats against his and his family's life? Do you feel that this is something that he should continue to do, especially when he says that he was built for this and God made him for this? And how do you feel about him saying he doesn't want any preferential treatment, but we live in a society where people give people preferential treatment, especially when they see these people as celebrities or personalities that have a large following? What do you think about all of this? Let me know your thoughts respectfully in the comment section below, guys. Thank you so much for being here, for liking and subscribing. I'm Beth, just being beautifully honest. So until the next time, I wanted to keep it brief, beautiful, and now I'm going to say bye.